I miss. It wants to. Da-na-na-na-na. There it is. There it is. Yes, we would. Just hearing me singing. Oh. I don't really care if people don't watch now. I just wanted to start this dinner and lyrics something later today. And I didn't want to do it tomorrow because 4th of July. So I didn't want to do it Wednesday because all the broadcasts, and I didn't want to push that anyway. I didn't want to move anything. Yeah, basically we're going to read the 3 chapters of the next installment, Streams of Poison. Of course, you can see another spoiler, but yeah, I'll let you try to guess whose perspective that is, but I don't want to spoil that for you. But yeah, the story we're reading today is Hermitcraft Streams of Poison. The title does give away what the storyline is about, but yeah, basically this story is a continuation of Season Clockwork, Hermit Outcry, Redstone Infestation, The Lost Hermits, A Terrible Price, Resilience, and Together Forever. Yeah. Which is a spin-off series from inside my Clockwork Chronicles world based on Hermitcraft, like Clockwork Chronicles universe. Not related to the Gigaverse, but yeah. It is not canon to anything related to the Hermitcraft series or any of the Hermits lore. Of course, they are so interested, but that's up to them. Technically, they own most of these characters. Some of these characters are mine. Created, and yeah. Well, there are about 28 chapters in here, so like maybe halfway through I will try, but I don't know, it just depends on how far we get today and how far I feel. I don't intend on going for extremely long time. I just intend to go on for maybe an hour. I try to. And then if there's like a few chapters that I can just read in like a video, I will do that because that's absolutely fine. And that's fine by me, and I do not care. Because I'm not going to finish one book and then pop right into the next one, because that would be confusing, and I wouldn't know where to put that in the playlist. No. And just one book per stream. Yeah. As well as do Minecraft stuff. It's like, it is what it is. Like, I mean, I could have done this tomorrow, but since most people are from the United States, they would be celebrating the 4th of July. I wouldn't necessarily think it's a good idea to do that. But yeah, let's probably get going. Chapter 1. This, I guess you can figure out whose perspective this is. Beat-ups. I don't know, we're doing it again. Beat-up stepped out of the storage room, carrying a few extra redstone components, as Isaac held the door for him. He stepped into the hall, taking a look at the hall stretching before him. At the end of the hall, Impulse was waiting for him at his workshop, finishing up the last bits of the outdoor invisibility detectors. Beat-Ups gave Isaac an appreciative nod, seeing Blake watching near the stairs. This should do it. Beat-Ups looked over at Isaac. Isaac nodded with a smile. Yeah, maybe. Beat-Ups walked down the hall, meeting with Blake, hearing his friend busy at his work. Impulse, I've got it. Thanks. Could you put it on the table right there? Impulse gestured with his hand to the clean part of the table that wasn't scattered with random metal scraps and redstone components. There was even a spare communicator on the far corner of the table. Beat-Ups crossed the room, placing his stuff stuff he'd grabbed down. You've been keeping yourself busy over the last few days securing the bases. It's not all me, Impulse pointed out. Doc, Tango, and Ether are helping. Even Ren offered to give me a hand with these. Look at this done by the end of the week. Beat-Up chuckled. You barely had time to sleep ever in the last week or so. Over the last week or so. Apologies. Last couple of weeks, yeah. Impulse shrugged, smiling as he puts a last invisibility detector in the box. This box is for the school. Liam did ask you to drop by tomorrow, didn't he? Yeah, he did. Beat-Ups nodded with a small smile. Are you sure you're doing okay? I'm fine. Impulse replied simply. I'll probably hang out with Gem and Pearl for a little bit today. You can come if you want. I would be happy to. Beat-Ups agreed before hesitating. I should probably let Liam know that we got it ready, though. You can do that while I pack up here, Impulse said brightly, picking up the box. Shouldn't take too long, right? Depends, Beat-Ups replied calmly. He's been busy as of late with school and doing some of Rose's assignments, you know? There's only so much you can do. Kind of sounds like he needs some time off, Impulse chuckled. You're one to talk. Beat-Ups giggled. Maybe you should come with me, so we can tell him. Impulse laughed, tossing the scraps into the random chest by the corner. I don't blame him. It's not easy when the worlds are out of control, thanks to what Campbell is doing. And at least we've got some good news, Blake pointed out. Doc's machine seems to be working to keep Gerald locked up, as well as Mr. A and RJ. He told you that? Impulse looked up at the young man. Blake nodded. I might have overheard from a report from our scheduled meetings. Right, Impulse nodded. At least we can sleep better knowing they can't show up out of nowhere. Definitely, Beat-Ups agreed. I knew Green was nervous about that after the tower was attacked. I heard he and Scar are trying to rebuild it, Isaac nodded, stepping into the room. They are. They created a tunnel between their bases that goes straight to it, Impulse nodded. Scar wanted me to drop by sometime to rig it up properly whenever I got the chance. I haven't gotten to it yet. How is that going? Beat-Ups asked curiously. Impulse shrugged. Better than last time. It's far more blast resistant. Julius won't be able to blow it up anytime soon. Good, Isaac sighed, shaking his head. Not sure if we can take another person getting crushed under that to breathe again. It's not perfect, but Green's been doing his best, Impulse replied with a knowing smile. Bubbles, you should give Liam a call quick. Meet us downstairs by the front door in 5 minutes. Will do. Beat-Ups grabbed for the communicator in his pocket, heading for the door again. Anything you want me to ask him about? Maybe an update on that antidote. Impulse looked down at his feet. Anything, really. Beat-Ups nodded. You're still thinking about that poison, aren't you? How can I not? I watched Hopeless as one of my best friends. He shook his head, tears brimming his eyes as he looked away. I can't stop thinking about it, much less dreaming about it. Nightmares? Beat-Ups frowned. Yeah, Impulse sighed. It's nothing major, though. I'd just feel better if there were millions of lives at stake because of that thing. Hopefully we get some good news then. Beat-Ups smiled. Liam's doing the best he can. We'll figure this out. I know we will. Impulse nodded as Beat-Ups stepped out of the room, walking down the hall. See you in 5. Okay. Beat-Ups called back, hearing footsteps behind him. He glanced back, seeing Isaac following him to an empty room. Blake disappearing into the workshop as the door closed behind him. Chapter 2. Beat-Ups slipped. Wow, that went weird. Beat-Ups slipped into one of the rooms, deciding not to close the door behind him, as he pressed some buttons on the communicator. A moment or two passed before the device sprang to life. Beat-Ups took a seat on one of the barrels lying on the corner of the room, seeing Isaac watching him by the door. The boy was quiet, glancing back into the hall for a moment before looking back. Finally, the device came to life. I thought the device already came to life. What else? Hello? Lehman's voice crackled through the communicator. Hey, it's me, Beat-Ups. You aren't busy, are you? The hermit asked. He could hear the sound of voices faintly through the speakers. A child's scream muffled through what to guess with the door. No, not really, just some kids playing ball, Liam replied. Lizzie insisted I take a little break and read a book or something. Bored? Beat-Ups asked curiously. Not really, Liam replied simply. Got a lot of to think about over the last few weeks after you and the other hermits returned home. What about the others? Sam, Stampy, Squish? Beat-Ups pressed. They made it back to Lovely World safe. Liam confirmed. Nothing unusual happening there, although they did check that base under the park again. Find anything useful, like the portal machine? Beat-ups asked. It was gone by the time they arrived, Liam replied. They vacated the place, moved it to another base, I presume. Figured. They don't often like to stay in the same place for long, especially not ones we know about, Beat-up sighed. No issues? Nope. Sam told me everything went smoothly, Liam reported. No sign of Campbell's men, or Julius. Do you know whether or not Julius was able to recover from from the explosion? Beat-up fidgeted on the barrel, glancing over the window nervously. There was an alarm attached to the window, similar in design to the unlocking gadget Impulse had made months ago. I'm assuming he has by now, Liam sighed. No sign of him from what I could tell, no. What about Campbell? Any sign that he's been up to no good? Beat-up looked over at Isaac, who smiled in encouragement. There was a long pause on the other end. It's complicated to explain. So there has been something. Beat-up sat up straighter, now at attention. As of a week ago, yeah? Liam sighed. One of the search teams were sent to a village after giving a report that something happened. They found everyone there was sick. Somewhere. The boy trailed off. She told me the water had been contaminated with something and gave me a sample to look at. What did you find? Beat-up asked warily. Did it have anything to do with on that dagger we gave you? I'm afraid so, Liam said solemnly. It was a match. Somehow they managed to contaminate the drinking water, from what she told me. Oh dear, Beat-ups whispered. That's why you want me to come over, isn't it? You want to see if maybe I could help? Did you find anything about what that poison is made of? That's the interesting part, Liam replied simply. She told me some of the victims' eyes were purple, just like you described me. Purple? Beat-ups gasped. Do you mean they ingested chorus flower? It definitely seems to be an ingredient, Liam confirmed. The only thing that's bothering me is why they would do this. Why Campbell would infect his own people? Innocent people. Pulse did say he didn't care about changing things, just wanted to see everything burn. Beat-up shuddered. After Charles' capture, too. Liam groaned. It's not good, that's what I'm trying to say. Does Impulse have the detectors ready? Yeah, I could bring them with me tomorrow. Beat-ups agreed, hearing another muffled scream, followed by children laughing. Maybe it'd be good if you both do, Liam suggested. I know you said you could set them up, but Impulse had a pure dose of chorus flower that one time, remember? It's possible I could use that to help me with creating an antidote. That's an idea. Beat-ups jumped to his feet. I just need to make sure he's okay with it. I'm sure he'd be down to help. He'll be down to help. Be careful, though, Beat-ups. Liam warned. It's still really risky at the moment. Doc may have been able to stop anyone from randomly appearing, but they can just as easily rig a portal to go wherever. Has that happened before? Beat-ups asked quietly. At least twice, from what I've heard, Liam sighed. Any new kids come along since we last saw each other? Beat-ups offered. A few. They still trickle in, and now with the infection going around, there probably might be more. Liam replied. You might need to keep Stacy on high alert then, Beat-ups reminded him, in case they tried to reinfect the water around those parts. I'd hate for any of the animals. I'll let her know. Good. We'll see you tomorrow morning then, okay? Beat-ups smiled sadly, looking up at Isaac, who was still watching and listening. His expression was firm and serious, perhaps with a mix of concern. See you there, Liam agreed. I'll see if I can find a book somewhere or play with the kids. You do that. Have some fun for a while, Beat-ups assured him. Try not to stress about it. You don't have to do this alone. Lizzie was right, the boy sighed. I really do need it. We've had to keep reminding Impulse this the whole time, too. Beat-ups giggled. We're going to the girls' bases to have some fun. Hope all goes well, Liam encouraged. Call me if anything comes up. I can always stop by and do the stuff I need to over there. Especially if any of you need an extra hand for whatever reason. You have enough on your plate, Beat-ups insisted. If there's a problem, we'll figure it out. We can stop this. We did it before. Royster is smart, Liam sounded defeated. Those viruses aren't as easy to get rid of as like before. So are we, Beat-ups giggled. We don't give up either. We're a thorn in their side that won't go away. A bug that keeps coming back. I like that analogy. Liam sounded impressed. Can I borrow that? By all means. Take care, Liam. Beat-Up replied gently. They bid each other well as the connection died. I saw Impulse and Blake go downstairs a couple of minutes ago. Isaac nodded toward the hallway. They're waiting for us. Then let's not keep them waiting. He ran over to the door, hesitating as he stood by the boy. Should I tell him now or wait until after we have some fun? It shouldn't hurt. Wait, Isaac nodded, patting his shoulder gently. He doesn't need to worry about it right now. Let's have some fun, shall we? Beat-Up beamed, nodding his head as he went toward the stairs, shouting out to Impulse that he was on his way. Even in excitement, he still could feel the nag in the back of his mind. The images of people lying in bed, horribly ill or dying, their eyes staring up at him, solid purple, almost glowing in the sunlight. Hermit pushed the thought away. They would figure it out. Had to. Chapter 3. Guys, down here! A voice shouted from below. Beat-Up looked down, seeing Jem and Pearl's spaces below. It was mid-afternoon as he flew with Impulse, Blake, and Isaac. Below them, he could see a figure waving at them. From below, Beat-Up flew down, landing on the grass a few dozen feet away, seeing Jem run up to them. I thought it'd take you another hour to get that done, Impulse. With Beat-Up's help, it was easy, Impulse mused with a smile. I needed a break anyway. Beats being cooped up all day in our bases. I agree, Beat-Up nodded. So what do you have planned for us? Nothing much, really, Jem admitted with a small smile. We just see if the other three can come and join us. Pearl's by the tower helping G and Scar. Come on! Beat-Up began running toward the tower, which was already almost complete already. How could so much work get done in such a short amount of time? And again, the Hermits had built it before, so it wasn't like it'd be hard to simply rebuild it. And other Hermits like Fultz, Joe, and Cleo had pitched in to help. Beat-Up could see someone rolling out the front door of the tower, spotting them as the Hermit waved at his friend. I didn't expect you guys to be here, Scar mused, rolling up to meet them. I was just finishing with the second floor. Impulse, do you have the detectors I asked for? I will, but not right now. Impulse chuckled. I've spent the last 3 days working on getting the detectors done for Liam, as Pearl suggested. So you did it? Pearl mused, gliding down from the second-story balcony, landing gracefully beside the car. Yep, we're good to go, Impulse nodded, looking over at Beat-Up. Bubbles told me Liam would be willing to have me drop by and help him set up. That's good. Maybe Jem and I could come along. Pearl's teal eyes widened. Beat-Up shrugged. Have to ask him, but right now Lizzie has him on break duty. Jem giggled. It's turning into a mini Impulse. Hey! Impulse laughed, pushing her gently. She giggled even harder. He's got a lot on display over the last week and a half or so, Beat-Up replied, before pushing it aside. That's not why we're here, though. We're here to have some fun. Maybe we can do some practice, Green offered, as glass shattered behind the Hermits. Beat-Up and Impulse yelped in surprise as Green appeared behind them, with a mischievous grin. Sword practice or bullet practice? Maybe even link practice. That's what you call it? Impulse teased, turning to the Hermit. I'm done with anything that gets my thoughts off of what we've been through over the last year. Has it really been that long? Jem frowned. Feels like we only met yesterday. I know! Time goes by fast. Scar's eyes brightened. That's why moments like these are so special. You can quickly set up some dummies if you want, Blake offered. Beat-Up's no. There, we'll get it ready. Isaac shook his head. No working for you today. It's honestly not that much work, Jem argued, the boys ignoring her as they ran to the side of her base. She smiled, turning to the others. So, what have you two been up to? Other than working, of course. Nothing much, really. Beat-Up shrugged. Just really quiet on my corner of the woods. Same. Not even a symbol. Impulse shook his head. You'd think Campo would do something by now. A sick feeling filled Beat-Up as the Hermit forced himself to nod. Yeah. So, what do you think he's planning? Pearl asked curiously. Something good, obviously, Green pointed out. At least not random portal appearances. Apparently they could still hijack the current portals to detect the Beat-Up gutted. Liam warned me about that. Yikes. Jim shook her head. How can you even tell? You can't. All it takes is 1 second. And you have to really time it perfectly. Beat-ups frowned before shaking his head. He only knows of 2 instances where it happened. Was everyone okay? Jim tilted her head. I don't know. He didn't say anything more about it. Beat-ups shrugged. Just told me to be careful when heading over. We will. Impulse nodded confidently. I won't let anything happen to you. I know. Beat-ups giggled. You saved my life weeks ago. Seeing you barging into that room to rescue me. Can't thank you enough. Well, you can always let us know if there's a problem, Jim replied calmly. Of course. Impulse nodded with a smile, patting his communicator. It should be fine. The chances they do it and pull it off is pretty slim, like Beat-ups said. Right, Beat-ups nodded. I'm sure we'll figure it out. We'll figure out what he's up to soon. We're ready, Isaac called back from behind the hermits. Beat-ups turned, grinning as he saw the silly-looking target block. Scarecrows standing in line against the wall. That was fast, Scar noted with intrigue, pulling out his hot guy bow. Think I can hit the 3-in-1 bullseye? It's not easy. Impulse frowned before shrugging. Not stopping you from trying, though. Scar grinned. Come on, scarecrows can shoot themselves. Target practice time. Peter smiled, following his friend, who was rolling toward where Blake and Isaac were standing. Blake wiped sweat from his brow, a smile on his face, offering a spare bow to Beat-ups. Thank you. Beat-ups took the bow, waiting until his friends were ready before he raised the bow, taking an arrow from one of the boys as he aimed for the bullseye. He imagined it was one of the men who had caused him and his friends so much pain. Campbell? Gerald? Julius? He shook his head. He had a perfect idea as he fired. Feeling exhilarated as the arrow flew through the air, hitting the target with a swoop. It wasn't a bullseye, but it was close. He pulled up his bow again, aiming a little more to the left. This time he'd hit it. He could feel it. Yes! Scar whooped from somewhere on its left. Nice job, Scar! Jim cheered. Beat-ups looked over to see the widest grin on Scar's face, moving his gaze to the target block. Sure enough, there were 3 arrows straight in the eye of the target. Jump the floor. What are you doing? Yes, I know, Golly. Oh. They practiced shooting for about an hour before Green finally lowered his bow, letting go as it fell to the ground. Is anyone else getting bored? We can stop. I think that's enough, Jem agreed, storing her bow away as Green reached down to grab for the one he dropped. Good, because my arm is sore. He beat upside, spotting a chest nearby as he went by all the target blocks, picking off the arrows. Impulse jumped in to help. Beat-ups put the extras inside a barrel as he looked up, seeing their friends heading toward the tower. Wait for us, Impulse cried, charging ahead as Beat-ups followed, hearing the quiet giggles of Isaac behind him. Hurry up, Scar called back with eagerness. We can show you the new elevator, too. You installed an elevator? Beat-ups eyes widened. Apologies. It was a little fiddling, yes, Green said blandly, arriving at the door as the group caught up. It's still a little finicky, though. We could probably batch it up if need be, Impulse grinned, peeking in his head into the room. It's not bad, actually. Yeah, my boy showed me how to make a flying machine. And Green furrowed his brow. That it helped all that much. Impulse laughed. Hey, you didn't do so bad. Thank you. Green smiled gratefully, stepping into the tower just as the group heard a shout from behind. There's trouble at the portal, a voice shouted. Jem immediately swiveled her head in her gaze. An average-sized man came running toward them, stopping in his tracks when Katie confronted him. He wore the cause's camouflage uniform. What happened? What's wrong? Jim asked, riding over to the man. My partner and I were scouting around when we saw a kid and their mother come through the portal. The man panted, catching his breath. The mother isn't doing so well. My partner told me to get you. We need an antidote. On it, Impulse nodded. Can you take us there? I don't have my wings on me. You'll get there faster if you fly. It's just by the portal. Please. The man looked at the hermits. You need to hurry. Jem looked back over at Impulse, Beetles and Pearl, and Scar and Green. Scar and Green were over by the tower. Pearl, stay with G and Scar. Beetles, Impulse, come with me. We'll see what we can do. Thank you, the man exclaimed. The portal must have made the situation worse. You must hurry. Come on. Jem pulled out her wings, determination on her face, as Pearl ran into the tower with the other two hermits. Blake, Isaac, follow us. You got it. Isaac rolled. Excuse me. Isaac called back as the hermit launched herself into the air. Beetlejuice pulled out his rockets as well, launching himself with Impulse a second behind. An uneasy feeling filled the hermit as he looked down, tempted to ask the man more questions. There wasn't time. We need to be careful in case this is a trap, Blake warned. I've heard similar stories like this, where the enemy is lying in wait for you. If it is a trap, we'll fly right out, Impulse said matter-of-factly. The look on the man's face didn't imply that it was, though. What could have happened to her, though? Jem frowned, shaking her head. The poor kid. Let's hope we can do something. Beetlejuice frowned, hearing an echo in the back of his mind. I see the light ahead! The portal wasn't far ahead as he launched another rocket, gliding down as he approached. He could see some figures on the ground a dozen feet from the portal as he landed. Another camouflaged man got to his feet. Good, you came. Of course we would, Jem said defiantly. What is it? Beetlejuice looked over at the two figures beside the man. A girl about 12 or 13 looking up at the hermits approaching, fear in her dark green eyes, holding a woman close. The woman groaned. She was in her mid-30s, with his dark auburn hair, her head turning at their approach. Beetlejuice gasped in horror. What? Jem asked, looking up at him, grabbing her medical box. Rice. Beetlejuice choked out, falling next to the girl. Can you tell us what happened? Our dad was attacked a month ago, the girl said quietly, not looking at the hermit, looking down at the woman, who was most likely her mother. She had the same button nose, the same almond-shaped eyes. Her dark auburn hair curled down her back, knotted and matted. She wanted to rest, and we came to some water about a week ago. Mom got sick, and did you drink the water? Beetlejuice asked her firmly. No, I wasn't thirsty at the time. She shook her head. Her mother groaned as her eyes widened, leading down toward her. Mama? Caitlin. The mother groaned weakly. Her dark purple eyes filled with tears. Beetlejuice couldn't see her pupils as Jem offered him an end to do as he took it. Here, help me lift her head, Beetlejuice offered. Caitlin nodded, helping lift her mother's head as Beetlejuice uncorked a potion. The golden liquid bubbling in the afternoon light gently put it to her lips. Drink this, it'll help. Oh, the woman groped, her voice sounding parched. Friends, the camouflaged man insisted, kneeling next to the hermit. We're here to help you and your daughter. You're not one of them? She opened her mouth. Beetlejuice gently gave her the liquid. No, Beetlejuice assured her gently. Never do anything to hurt anyone. The woman smiled sadly. Rose, you were trying to find... We know her, Jem said brightly, coming to the woman's other side before looking up at Beetlejuice nervously. She's a good friend of ours. She helped my friends here get away from some really bad people. The woman coughed, looking up at the sky above, shaded by a canopy of trees. Kate, will she be? No, Mom, you're not leaving me, the girl demanded, grabbing her mother's hand. You can't. I can't lose you two. Mama, please. The woman groaned again, looking over at Beetlejuice. She must have seen how pale his face had gotten. Her face looked so thin, so hollow and pale. Her light drained from her glowing purple eyes. See, got you. I don't think the antidote is working. Impulse knelt next to the girl, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Maybe try another? No, the woman groaned. It's too late for me. Mama, don't say that. Please, don't say that. Caitlin sobbed. Impulse pulling her close as the woman closed her eyes. It sapped too much of her air out of her. She can't recover. It's worse than that. Impulse shook his head, speaking quietly, tears filling his eyes. Or worse than that. You have to do something, the girl pleaded, beating her fists against the hermit's chest in desperation. We can take her back to the base and see what we can do, Impulse whispered to her gently. Can't promise anything. Please, she has to be, okay? She has to. Tears rolled down Kayla's face. She has to. We'll try. Impulse helped her to her feet. Isaac, can you help this man carry her back to Jim's place? Yeah, I could do that. Isaac nodded. What about her? I got her. Isaac. Excuse me. Impulse said calmly, looking over at Beat-Ups. You okay, Bubbles? Yeah, I'm fine. Beat-Ups said shakily, pulling out his pockets as he stumbled to his feet, looking over at the girl. I'll try to help her, I promise. Caitlin nodded, her green eyes looking up at him. What's going on? What's in that water? Why? A lump formed in Beat-Up's throat. Let's get back to the base and we'll talk there, okay? Okay. She sniffed, nodding, finally letting go of Impulse as he gently grabbed her arm. Do I need to do anything? No, just jump and hold on. Impulse assured her gently, taking out a rocket, and chuckled. Yeah, that's good. I won't let you go. I won't let you fall. Come on, you need to go. Jump said quickly, looking up into the sky. This is getting more risky by the minute. No one disagreed, launching into the air. Beat-Ups leading the way back to Gem and Pearl's bases. A part of him was tempted to look back, but he knew if he did, he'd see the eyes again. Same virus that Liam had told him about. How far did this go? What's gain for doing this? My poor hand is falling asleep. It's not what I want. Chapter 5. Beat-Ups landed on the ground first, being met by Katie and Caleb, who ran over to meet the group. What happened? Caleb asked, eyes widening as he saw the woman lying in the man's arms. Caitlin clinging on to Impulse for dear life before pulling away, running over to her mother. She's been infected with some sort of chorus flower poison variant, Beat-Ups said quickly. Still wonder what happened to Skiz. Poison? Caitlin up at the hermit, her eyes wide with horror. You sure? Jem frowned. Beat-Ups nodded. Liam told me. I need to talk to him first. I need to let him know. No? First you need to explain, Caitlin said firmly, her eyes now cold. What's going on? Who did this to my mother? Beat-Ups swallowed, gesturing toward Jem's base. Take her mother upstairs to rest. Jem, could you watch her first? Give her another antidote if you can. Will do, Jem nodded, running to the front door, opening it. You'll tell me what's going on? I don't know much, but Kate is right. Kate's right. She deserves the answers right now. Beat-Ups replied. It's Caitlin. Only my family and friends call me Kate. The girl said sourly. Sorry. Beat-Ups blushed. Won't happen again. Caitlin. Come on. The main room's the perfect place. Impulse. I might need you for this one. You sure you don't need me upstairs? Impulse asked curiously. You could probably explain it better than I can, Beat-Ups said with a sigh, seeing Jem, the man, and the woman disappear into the base. Do you know where your dad is, Caitlin? Isaac asked her gently. No, she sniffed. He was working when they came. Tears filled her eyes again. Impulse went over to hug her again. She didn't pull away. Come inside. You look hungry. Maybe we can get you something, he told her softly. Caitlin didn't argue, following the hermit into the base, as Beat-Ups followed. Beat-Ups looked over his shoulder, seeing Caleb and Caden run back to the tower. Do you want to scout or come in? Blake offered. Come in. It's probably safer. Beat-Ups smiled weakly. Do you know where Matthias is? I think he went to have a meeting with Rose. Isaac frowned. He was supposed to come back an hour ago. Hopefully Oh no. What a... Wow. That was fun. Wow. I think we went... I got it right the first time, but that wasn't the right word I was trying to write. Pronoun? Yes. I think he went to have a meeting with Rose. Isaac frowned. He was supposed to be back an hour ago. Hopefully everything's okay. Beat-Ups sighed, going inside, hearing Impulse calling for him. He walked into the main room, seeing Caitlin sitting on the armchair, looking over at the stairwell anxiously. "Will be okay?" she asked, her green eyes looking up at the hermit. I hope so," Beatrice nodded. "Your friend said the antidote wasn't working," she said softly, looking worried. "I can't lose her. I can't." "I know." Beatrice sat down on the couch. "Could you tell me anything about the guys who attacked your home?" She looked up at the door. As the door closed, Blake and Isaac slipped past the room. Caleb went upstairs. Caleb's not there. Oh, Isaac. Caleb's not there. There we go. Caleb isn't there. He went back over to the tower. Oops. Yeah, magical kid, maybe. No. He's not any bit magical. Isaac went upstairs to check on Jem while Blake went into the kitchen. They wore black uniforms with colors on their outfits, their faces concealed by caps. She shook her head. They dragged out everyone from their homes, even us, forcing us to watch as they got torched. They told us they wouldn't hurt us if we told them where the YouTubers were. Do you know what they are? Beatrice lifted an eyebrow. "Oh," she huffed, crossing her arms over her chest. "I thought they were just stories our parents told before bed." "Well," Beatrice hesitated, looking up when Impulse walked into the room, holding a fresh plate of golden chicken, apple, and carrots. He put it on the table in front of her, not saying anything. "YouTubers are no myth. They're very real, as much as you and I. These people, they're trying to go across the world to destroy these people. Just because they're different." Yeah, that sentence isn't very clear. How are they different? She looked up at the hermit curiously before picking a piece of the chicken and examining it before taking a bite. "Wow, this is good. Thank you. Freshly baked from out of the furnace just for you." Impulse smiled. "It's not as good as Mom's cooking, but it's not bad." She shrugged before a sad look returned to her face. "We're doing what we can for her," Impulse said calmly, looking toward the window quickly. "No one was following you two, right?" "I don't think so." She shook her head. "Why would they look for us? We're just two normal people. Nobodies." "I was just checking. You never know," Impulse replied. "I'm Impulse, by the way. This is Beat-Ups. We call him Bubbles around here sometimes." Beat-Ups giggled. "Yeah, the girl you saw running up with her mother is Jem. She builds this base." He waved around at his surroundings. "She built this?" Caitlin looked around the interior in awe. Just then, there was a soft meow coming from under her chair as she jumped. "Wait, is that a cat?" Jelly slid out from under the armchair just then, giving a post-afternoon nap stretch as Caitlin squealed in delight, scooping the cat off the floor, holding her close. "That's Jelly, Scar's cat." Impulse smiled. They found her playing outside space and took her in. She's been staying here while he rebuilds the tower with Gran and Pearl. "Wow, you have a lot of friends." Caitlin looked up at him in awe before she sighed, looking down at Jelly as she stroked her head. Jelly didn't seem all too pleased to be plucked off the floor so suddenly, but she didn't try to leave. In fact, she wore a grumpy expression, her green eyes half closed, as if contemplating whether or not she was enjoying the girl's attention. "I hope my friends are okay." Background noise. "We'll find them," Beat-Up said quickly. The girl looked up at him in surprise. "Can you?" she asked hopefully. "I mean, Rose probably could." Beat-Up nodded with a smile. "That's probably what your mom was trying to do. Find her and get help." She nodded. "Why would she help us?" She helps anyone in need. That's just how she is," Impulse replied. "She helped me find my best friend after we'd been separated for years." Sad look crossed the hermit's expression. "Yes?" Caitlin guessed. "The one who was infected with..." Impulse nodded, sitting down next to her on another armchair. "Yeah, this guy named Campbell wanted my help with something, but I refused. I was able to escape, but one of his henchmen, his voice caught. I couldn't save him, even with the antidote I had. It's already too late." "Oh." Caitlin's eyes widened. her expression sympathetic. Sorry to hear that. We've all lost people who we care about, Peter said calmly. You asked what made us different. Wait, you're YouTubers? She gasped before narrowing her eyes. Yeah, proof. We have a healing character, Peter pointed out softly. We're stronger too. Smiled. Getting up as he would only do lifting it with one hand. Whoa! Caitlin gasped. Jelly purring softly in her lap. Her eyes now closed. Impulse lowered the table. That's not really a good example. Impulse noted with a shrug but smiled. Some of us have certain skills and abilities. I'm good with redstone, Scar is good at building, and with a bow. Beat-up laughed. Or a gas blaster. Excuse. What's a gas blaster? Caitlin asked curiously. Basically a tool that can throw fireballs, Impulse said simply. Named after the mob in the Nether. Aghast. You won't be going in there, though. It's far too dangerous. She does. Said who? Says me. Impulse smirked, shaking its head. The Nether and End are very dangerous places. You need to be wearing good armor and come prepared. I could do it. She lifted her chin. Impulse chuckled. Maybe you can, but not right now. I thought those places were missed, though. She sighed. I guess I don't know much of anything. Most people do. Beat-ups agreed. We're able to withstand the climate of those places, and are able to face the dangers that they're like gas blazes with skeletons, piglins, ender dragons, and endermen. Impulse smiled slyly. That is the only mob that spawns in all three biomes. Wow! Caitlin leaned back against the armchair. Even in our differences, we still share things in common. Impulse. Beat-ups reminded her. You have strengths where we have weaknesses, and vice versa. So where did you come from? Caitlin asked curiously. I always wondered that. Beat-ups frowned, looking over at Impulse, who shrugged. I honestly don't know. We just kind of shut up. But surely you have family, Caitlin exclaimed. We do, Impulse smiled. Each other. But what about your parents? She insisted. Do you have parents? If we did, we can't remember. Beat-up shook his head. I've been told we appear like a ball of light. Just where we need to be. That's weird, she admitted. And mystical, like you're from the stars. Here we are. Impulse shrugged. This is crazy. She shook her head. I can't believe it. It takes time, but even the most skeptic of us have to admit that there has to be some truth to the unknown. Blake replied from the door. I'm Blake, by the way. I'm Impulse's protector. Protector? Caitlin frowned, looking over at Impulse. Are you in trouble? We all are, Beat-ups replied gently. Isaac's my temporary protector at the moment. The guys you met earlier were Kate and Caleb. They're with Scar and Pearl and Green right now. These guys are trying to hurt you? She asked quietly. Impulse nodded. Campbell wanted to use me to make something that could hurt millions of innocent people. Both YouTubers, non-YouTubers, and hybrids. Hybrids? She raised an eyebrow. Those with a YouTuber or non-YouTuber parent, Blake interjected, raising his hand. I'm one of those. You have powers too? She asked quickly. Blake laughed. As far as I know, just a healing factor. Cool! She grinned excitedly before the smile faltered. What happened to your parents then, or to you? Both killed by some bad people. Previous leaders before Campbell. Blake shook his head. Oh, sorry I asked. She sighed, shaking her head. I'm doing it again, aren't I? Doing what? Beat-ups asked curiously. Asking too many questions. She sighed. Oh, that's not a problem here. Impulse laughed. Sometimes we need to ask questions to learn. It's never a bad thing to be curious. Really? Her eyes gleamed eagerly. Yes, really. Impulse nodded, putting a hand on her shoulder. Do you want to see how your mother is doing? He looked down at her empty plate. Can I? She asked before hesitating. You never told me about that virus. Don't worry about the background noise. That's adorable, though. Go see her. Don't let us keep you back. Impulse smiled. We'll tell you everything we can. Can I touch Nick Jelly with me? She asked hopefully. My mom loves cats. We used to have one before. Sure, Scar won't mind. Impulse smiled. She got to her feet, scrambling toward the stairs. Impulse Beat-ups watched as she disappeared before looking back, seeing his friends staring at him. So what haven't you been telling us? She explained it quite well. Beetle's blanched. Campbell's been contaminating the drinking water of residents with the virus. Impulse's face paled, his eyes growing wide. Can't be. Beetle's nodded. You saw her mother. She was affected. She's dying. Impulse let out a deep sigh, putting his head in his hands. This isn't good. Okay if I tell Liam then? Blake asked, breaking the tension. Sure, I won't stop you, Beat-Ups nodded, seeing the boy disappear back into the kitchen. You okay, Eppy? Why? Impulse pulled his hands to his lap, looking up at the ceiling. Why is he doing this? What does he want? I don't know. Beat-Up shook his head sadly. Hopefully Caitlin can have a happier ending, though. We'll do what we can, Impulse sighed, wiping a tear from his eyes. We have to. Noises. Chapter 6. I don't think it's very happy at the moment. Beat-Up leaned against the couch, looking up when he heard footsteps in the kitchen. It's been at least 10 minutes, the hermit explaining everything Liam had told him to his friend. Impulse had just sat there and listened. Liam's going to be stopping by to check on Caitlin's mother, Blake reported before looking over at Impulse. As well as the blood symbol from you. Me? Impulse asked curiously before nodding. I suppose that makes sense. I was infected with just the chorus flower. But the antidote had worked for both of us, Beat-Ups insisted. You used a golden apple in the mix. It should have worked. She might need more than one, Blake frowned, shaking his head. Or a golden apple wasn't enough. I used the same thing for Skiz, but he was already too hurt for it to take effect. Impulse closed his eyes. The healing factor couldn't kick in to save him. That had the golden apple, too. I don't know, Blake sighed, walking over to Impulse. I'm sure Liam will figure it out. He's got a lot on his plate as it is, Beat-Up swallowed. The fact that he is coming here after Lizzie forced him to take a break is urgent. I'm sure she'll understand, Blake nodded. She would drop anything to help someone in need. Right, Beat-Up sighed. If there's any way I can help make it easier for him, I would. When will I get here? Impulse asked, looking over at the boy. 30 minutes at the latest, Blake reported, looking over at the sky. I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed the night. So she might need it. You think we can save her? Beat-Up asked hopefully. With you guys, anything is possible. Blake smiled sadly. You don't give up. Suddenly they heard a knock on the front door as it opened. Beat-Ups looked over to see Scar roll inside, followed by Pearl and Green. How is she? Green asked worriedly. Which one, the mother or the girl? Beat-Ups asked. Both, I suppose, the hermit admitted quietly. Caitlin seems to be doing okay. Impulse got to his feet. I haven't heard anything about her mother. Green nodded. What's going on? Long story. Might be good to have everyone together, Impulse suggested, nodding over at Beat-Ups. Liam's on his way to see if he can help Caitlin's mother. Let's get up there then. Scar looked over at the hidden lift, rolling over to it. See you guys in a moment. Beat-Ups smiled, following his friends up the stairs. Are we taking the sleepover room then? I'm guessing so. Green shrugged. I wouldn't mind after thinking about that. It's been a rough week or so for the cost, trying to figure things out. Beat-Ups sighed, shaking his head. Right now, we should be fine. Whoa, and the top of the stairs down the hall. You bet. Impulse Tango Beat-Ups made it for me. Scar's cheerful voice said, You must be Caitlin. Beat-Ups rushed the rest of the way up the stairs, hearing a soft meow, seeing Jelly still in Caitlin's arms. I see you found a new friend. Green smiled, getting up right behind him. Is she yours? Caitlin's eyes gleamed. No, she's mine. Scar chuckled. She seems to like you. I love her. She hugged Jelly, who didn't seem pleased. I wish I could keep her. Scar laughed. I'm sure you've met Impulse and Beat-Ups before. These are my other friends, Green and Pearl. Hello. Pearl waved at the young girl. Jelly hopped from Caitlin's arms, trotting into a random room. Her tail swished back and forth. Hi. Hi, Caitlin said shyly, looking at the group. So you're all YouTubers? Yep, Beat-Ups grinned. How's your mother? She's still not doing well. Caitlin rubbed her arm. Scar rolled over to her, put a hand on her shoulder. She's fallen into a coma. Jem's given her another antidote, but it's not doing much. Is it doing anything? Impulse asked curiously. Just a little bit of something. Jem confirmed at the door, putting her hand on the open frame. She's not in pain. That's the biggest sign I see. That's good, Impulse said quietly, although something in his tone didn't seem to reassure him. Rita's wrapped an arm around his friend's shoulders comfortingly. How about we show Caitlin the sleepover room where we hang out? We can talk about everything I know there, and maybe interrogate Liam when he gets here, if he knows more. Follow me, Kate, Sky said brightly. The girl didn't correct it, as she followed him down the hall. He arrived at the door, opening it, before rolling his wheelchair back, letting her through. I thought this would look a bit... She trailed off before walking inside. We made it when Nate had the special portal tech, Beat-Ups explained, beating her inside. We wanted to be close, but weren't concerned about how appealing the place was. Got it, she nodded, taking a seat on one of the few beds in the room. Soft, made from the fluffiest of wool. Scar beamed. Everyone else came inside, taking a seat either in a bed, sleeping bag, chair, or the floor. Beat-Up sat right next to Caitlin. How did you make the sleeping bags? She asked curiously, looking down at the bags. Carpet instead of wool, Beat-Ups explained. And no wood planks, just 3 carpets. And string. Don't forget the string to hold it together, Scar reminded him. Yeah, Beat-Ups giggled. Always forget that. So what about this poison? What does Liam know about it? Jem asked, cutting to the point. Her green eyes looked concerned. Beat-Ups took a deep breath before telling the group everything he knew from what Liam had told him. It didn't take as long as he thought it would. Everyone mostly listening, apart from Caitlin, who asked questions. So this campout guy poisoned our river and as a result infecting people? She asked. Poisoned my mother? Jem nodded. I was able to give her a little milk to remove the effects, at least what I could. Couldn't take away the chorus flower part as much as I wished. How long did she have that? Caitlin looked over at Beat-Ups. I hope Liam can help her, Beat-Ups said firmly. I guess it depends on the situation. With the kids, it only took a few minutes because he was critically injured. Your mother's been sick for a week, right? The girl nodded. Yes, sir. You don't need to call me sir. Beat-Ups smiled at her, nudging her playfully. Yes, Bubbles. She smiled weakly. The hermits laughed. So we're going to have to wait for Liam and see what he can do, Pearl pointed out. What if he can't do anything? Then we'll keep trying, Impulse said firmly. Jem was definitely onto something with the milk. Maybe if we combined it with other ingredients? Jem looked thoughtful. It wouldn't hurt to try. It's not a typical part of any recipe. You could make it into a soup, Green offered. Jem's eyes brightened. That's an idea. She got to her feet. Caitlin, do you want to help me? See if we can make something for your mother. Caitlin sprung to her feet. Of course. Jem giggled as the girl ran out of the room, looking at the other hermits. Her mother is somewhat stable at the moment. That's the best I can say. Maybe it's not a good thing. I don't know. Liam might be able to give us some answers, Beat-Up said hopefully. Even if it is a munch, we can work with him to come up with it. We can do this. Jem nodded, smiling hopefully. I know, yeah. We did it before. I could probably give him the box of invisibility detectors, too. Impulse patted his pocket simply. Or we could just drop by another time and set it up. Just leave some instructions. Someone will figure it out. Pearl teased. Your redstone isn't that complicated. Finally, someone gets it. Impulse chuckled. I never said it was easy. Just not complicated. She grinned. Pearl! Jem cracked up, hearing her name before being called. Kate's waiting for me. I need a dip. See you later. She disappeared into the hallway as Beat-Ups let out a sigh. I don't think we're going to be going back to our bases tonight, are we? I mean, we could, Impulse pointed out. But I don't want to take my chances again. I still have nightmares of Gerald showing up from under the floor in my base. I have nightmares about them showing up in my room, Green shuddered. I think we all fear that will happen. They like to come when we're alone. I don't think Jem will mind, Scar said casually. Besides, we need to keep Kate. Help her get through what's happening with her mom. That's the least we could do. Impulse nodded, his face looking a little pale as he got to his feet. I'm going downstairs to wait for Liam. Can I go with you? Beat-Up offered, getting up from the bed as well. I know Blake will probably be down there, but Liam did tell me about what I don't think he knows that we all know. I think he figures we do now at this point, Green shrugged. We don't hide things from each other. Not usually. Impulse smiled weakly. Want to come with G? You want to come with G? Or do you want to stay up here? I'm good up here, Korean said, mildly grazily. I'll go see if there's any ingredients that might be useful in the storage room. I'll go with you, so we're paired. Pearl replied, looking over at Scar. How about you? I should be fine. Scar brushed her off. Chum and the others are close enough. Besides, Caleb no doubt will be close. Pearl nodded. If you change your mind, you know where to find us. I'm not worried about that, the hermit chuckled. B-dubs followed Impulse back to the hallway, peeking into the other room. Jem showing Caitlin the brewing stand. Lying on the bed, her face ghostly pale, the girl's mother. Gorgeous flower, all right, Impulse whispered quietly. Caitlin looking up at the sound of his voice. How do you know that? She asked. Because he's been there and done that, dear. Jem put a hand on her shoulder. You didn't come up. The girl's voice sounded small. I'm sure she will. Impulse smiled at her. The girl nodded as her two hermits continued down the hall. How did you know? B-Dubs insisted as they reached the stairs. Skid showed me a memory. Impulse swallowed, shaking his head. Looks just like that. I wonder. What? B-Dubs tilted his head. Nothing. It's nothing. Impulse sighed, heading for the stairs. Liam should be here in a few minutes. Chapter 7. Liam arrived at the base a few moments later, B-Dubs opening the door from whence he saw him approaching from the window. It was late afternoon, slowly turning into early evening when Liam smiled up at the hermit, his bright blue eyes scanning the room. She's upstairs, B-Dubs said calmly, nodding towards the stairs. How is she? Any better? The boy asked him. Somewhat stable, but in a coma, Impulse reported. Jim and Caitlin were trying to work out a little something we think might help her. All right, Liam nodded, approaching the stairs, putting a hand on the railing for a moment before starting a descent. B-Dubs and Impulse followed him, the hermit glancing back to see Blake by the window, probably waiting for Matthias. Still hadn't reappeared after leaving to go to a meeting with Rose. They arrived at the top of the stairs. Liam stepped into the room and introduced himself to the young girl. Do you think you can help her? Caitlin asked hopefully. B-Dubs could see she was kneeling next to the bed beside her mother, holding a limp, pale hand. I can do what I can. Liam nodded, looking over at Jem's direction. Can you tell me what you've done so far? Jem didn't hesitate, and she reiterated what she had told B-Dubs and the others. She didn't leave anything out, pulling a potion out of her brewing stand, going to a soup bowl, and pouring it in. Kate and I just finished making a concoction here with a mix of milk, and some other things to see if it helps. So milk is helping? Liam nodded, looking over at the sleeping woman. Took away a lot of the infection, but the gorse flower is still active, as you can see. She gestured to the woman before approaching. She also added to the mix of ingredients, which makes sense. So there's poison and gorse flower, Liam said quietly, but the room could still hear him. Could there be something else? It's not the redstone virus, I'm fairly sure, B-Dubs replied, glancing over at Jim. I should have tested for that. Her eyes widened. Impulse, do you have a redstone torch? Impulse nodded, pulling out one from his pocket, handing it to her. Jem walked over to the woman, waving the torch over her. What are you doing? Caitlin asked curiously. Just seeing whether or not the torch is affected by her. See how it's lit? If she was infected, it would turn off if it got close to her. Jem stepped away. B-Dubs is right. We can cross that off the list. Good. Liam nodded, looking somewhat relieved. What about the wither rose? Impulse bailed. How do we even test for that? I don't know. Liam frowned. I can see if Scar is willing to give me a sample. Of course. I don't mind. Scar's cheerful voice said from the doorway as the group jumped. And B-Dubs turned, seeing the sheepish smile on the hermit's face. Looks like self-mo worked. Yeah, Impulse chuckled. You sure? I'm sure. Scar nodded. It makes sense. All three of them are different kinds of poison. Together, they could be very dangerous. It makes sense why she'd be sick for so long, too. He paused, looking over at Caitlin. Did your mother ever have a fever at any point? It started a few days after she drank the water, she nodded. She was tired and shivering. She was getting a little better around the time we found the portal. She wanted to find Rose sooner rather than later. Is she in a hurry? Liam asked wearily. Seemed like it, the girl shrugged. I thought it might have been the fever making her jumpy. So jumpy. Dark purple would make sense, Beat-Ups nodded, looking over at the boy. Although Scar's eyes never changed color when he was infected. Different people get affected by things differently, Scar shrugged. Your redstone went crazy with the addition of the course flower. Right, Beat-Ups whispered quietly, looking over at Liam. Anything you can do with this information? Once we know it will work, Impulse reminded the boy, offering the shulker box with the invisibility detectors inside. Put in instructions. Someone should be able to take care of it. Thank you, Impulse. Liam smiled, taking the box before putting it away. I wish I could stay, but I've got things I need to do. So I'll do what I can. Let us know if you find anything. Caitlin insisted as the four of them neared the door, walking into the hallway. The girl stood, her dark green eyes watching them. I will, Liam promised, gently. Time will tell, I suppose. We'll figure this out, Jem encouraged the boy. It's what we do. No one said any more as Beatrice followed his friends into another room, where Liam took blood samples from the hermits. The boy didn't need to bandage them, because as the healing factor kicked in, healing the mark within a few minutes. Once the boy was done, he wished the group farewell, leaving to return back to the school. Beat-Ups hoped it would be enough. Royce too wouldn't keep getting away with it. And neither were Campbell's. Oh. I need to quick blow my nose. Give me a sec. Oh no. Oh, my eye is still go. Man, I do not want to take it out though. Oh, anyway, I am back. I have done, and we shall continue. We have made it an hour in, but I want to try to get through these 10 chapters. Chapter 8. A couple of days had passed with little update. Caitlin's mother hadn't improved, still sleeping in a coma. She hadn't gotten worse, though, which Beat-Ups felt was a good thing, although he wondered how long that would last. Beat-Ups was helping Impulse and Caitlin set up the hallway that connected the tower to Scar's and Brian's bases, hooking it up with detectors, cameras, and alarm systems. Impulse had taken care of rigging the tower the day before, making sure to add a camera inside the second floor and in his friends' rooms just for good measure. Beat-Ups didn't blame him. Julius had been able to sneak past the cameras thanks to the new portal technology, and he didn't want to risk it happening again. Beat-Ups watched as Impulse showed Caitlin how to activate one of the invisibility detectors. Beat-Ups putting up another camera, looking around. The section seemed complete and secure. There was no chance anyone would be able to slip by here. Can you add some wall communicators I made yesterday? Can you add some of the wall communicators I made yesterday? Impulse looked up at the hermit, getting to his feet. I rigged them so that one button push will set off an alarm. You know that's going to be a huge temptation for both Green and Scar, right? Beat-Ups mused as a juggle. push buttons. I'm trying to think of ways they or anyone who needs it can call for help, Impulse sighed. If we have a few false alarms, it happens. He smiles. He smiled. I wouldn't expect anything less from those two. Beat-ups giggled. Grabbing a wall, then we should be done. Great, Beat-ups grinned, seeing Caitlin get to her feet, following him as she watched him attach the communicator to the wall. You don't need to wire this or anything. Already programmed in. Impulse nodded. Of course it is. Beat-ups teased. You think of everything. The hermit chuckled, shaking his head. Surprisingly not. They still find a way to get past anything I try to put up. It's only fair we do the same to them. Beat-ups shrugged, attaching the device before looking at Caitlin. Are you interested in doing some sword practice with me and Impulse? Her eyes gleamed. Really? You let me do that? It's good for you to know, in case you or someone else is in trouble. Beat-ups smiled at her. They don't show mercy. She nodded, a sad look on her face. No, they don't. Hey, I talked with Rose this morning. Beat-ups crouched at her level, putting a hand on her shoulder. We managed to get coordinates of your world. She sent someone to look for you, her friends and your father. Is that okay? She looked up at him hopefully. I don't know yet. We don't know yet. Beat-ups shook his head. Thanks, Bubbles. She looked down at her feet as the hermit stood. This is what we're here for, Kate. Beat-ups smiled. You can call me Kate. She looked at him, grinning. Okay, Kate. Beat-ups gave her a side hug, looking up at Impulse standing, glancing over his shoulder nervously. His expression looked distant, like his mind was elsewhere. Impulse? The hermit told him quietly, looking over at Caitlin warily. Is it her mother? Beat-ups asked with a frown. He shook his head. Beat-ups could feel a wave of dread hit him, seeing the fear in his friend's eyes. No, it's not her. Before Beat-ups could ask more, the hermit tore off down the hall. Beat-ups called for his friend, trying to keep up with him. What's going on? Is something wrong? Caitlin asked through his cast of air. I think he got a distress call from one of our friends. Beat-ups looked over his shoulder. How? He didn't use a communicator, Caitlin insisted. Another ability we've discovered. Beat-ups smiled weakly. We can feel when one of us is in trouble through what we call the link. I'm not sure I understand. She furrowed her brow as Impulse pounded up the stairs from the tower. When we get close or get to know each other, we form a link or a bond, Beat-ups said simply. The more we know each other, the stronger it gets. We know when someone is in pain or is in trouble. This is one of those times. Who is it? Her eyes grew wide. Impulse had long disappeared as Beat-ups stepped up at the stairs. I don't know. Beat-ups shook his head, reaching into his mind toward his friend's link, stumbling when he felt a wave of pain crash to him. Beat-ups, are you okay? Caitlin steadied him. I'm fine. Beat-ups said shakily, dread sinking in. We need to hurry. Who is it? She repeated firmly, the hermit looking over at her seriously. We'll see soon enough, he said, not entirely answering her question, although he knew very well who it was. A distant scream came from above as the girl gasped, instinctively going up the stairs as Beat-ups followed her. Leave him alone, Julius! Impulse's voice grunted, his voice getting louder as Beat-ups made it to the first floor of the tower, as he spotted the girl going further up. Caitlin, wait! Beat-ups hissed quietly, but it was already too late. Scar! Caitlin gasped as he caught up with her, the hermit's blood going cold as he looked at the scene before him. He could see the wheelchair tossed carelessly to the side, toppled upside down, the wheels slowly turning, lying on the far side of the room, between two doors of the room with a figure lying on his back. Blood stained the hardwood floor as Beat-ups gulped. Julius had Impulse pinned to the ground on the balcony, a dagger to his throat. I was wondering if more of you would come. Julius looked up, his dark gray eyes gleaming. The sunlight glinted off the metal. What's your name, girl? I've never seen you before. Caitlin. Caitlin lifted her chin. Caitlin? Grace. Kimberly. Glad to meet you, Caitlin. Julius sneered, looking down at the hermit underneath him. You're just in time to watch me play a little game of justice. Chapter 9. What do you want, Julius? Beat-ups insisted, looking over at the open balcony. Surely someone out there with Surely someone would notice there was something wrong. Maybe that was the point. Distract him. Impulse's soft mental voice echoed in his mind, confirming their suspicion. This is what Impulse was doing. I thought it would be obvious, Julia snickered as Beat-Up straightened, putting a hand in warning on Caitlin's shoulder. Leave him alone! Caitlin balled her fists, raising them. Julia shook his head. No, I don't think I will. I've been given specific orders from my boss. Camp out! Caitlin snapped. Julius chuckled. Why, yes, of course. Who else would it be? Gerald? He looked over at Scar, who was lying on the floor. Hermit wasn't moving. A lump formed in Beat-Up's throat. Wanted so desperately to go over to him and check on him, but with Julius so near, he knew it wasn't a good idea. After Gerald's capture, Camp heard about what happened. The young man shook his head. Clearly he didn't learn his lesson the first time. Julius! Impulse gulped, gasping as the boy leaned closer, pricking the hermit's throat as the hermit yelped. Shh, there's no point arguing with me. I know what I'm doing. It's my choice. The man, Julius narrowed his eyes at the hermit. Far more than any of you ever get. Impulse cried out in pain, trying to kick the man off him, but Julius held him down. Caitlin tried to lunge forward, but Beat-Ups held her back, pulling out a sword. You're out in the open, Julius. I think carefully about your hostage. Julius laughed. Oh no, I'm not planning on taking him as a hostage. A dark look crossed on the young man's face, as a shudder ran through his spine. Julius smiled at the hermit coldly, but the moment didn't last as a shadow appeared over the balcony. Get away from him! Chum's voice shouted from above as Julius yelped in surprise. The hermit flying into the room, shoving the young man off as Impulse groaned. Caitlin ran over to the hermit as Impulse sat up. Are you okay? He didn't... Caitlin looked him up and down. I'm okay. Impulse smiled weakly. The girl tackled him into a hug. Beat-Up walked over to him warily, watching Jem pin Julius down. I need a hand over here, Jem called out as Caleb came through the balcony as well. The young boy ran over to her just as Julius knocked her back. Jem! Beat-Up warned as Julius stumbled to his feet, dodging Caleb as he glared over at the hermits. I'll be back for you, Impulse. Next time you won't be so fortunate. The young man growled, launching a rocket as he flew past them. Don't let him get away! Caleb charged after the man, Jem not too far behind, stumbling to the boy's side. Caleb flew into the air after the man, followed by a couple of other shadows. Beat-Ups couldn't make out. Beat-Ups moved his eyes to Impulse, who looked pale as he pulled away from the girl. Caitlin looked out the balcony warily. Beat-Ups, get your medical kit, Impulse said shakily, crawling over to where Scar was lying. Beat-Up scrambled for his shulker box, going over to the hermit's side and putting it between them. Oh no, Caitlin's small voice whispered. Beat-Ups didn't look over at her as he pulled out a towel. He's not infected, is he? Beat-Ups looked at Impulse. The hermit shook his head. Fortunately not. Julius wanted to keep him alive so he wouldn't forget. He saw his friend's bottom lip quiver as he lifted Scar's head, giving him a regeneration potion. The bleeding slowed before stopping completely as Beat-Ups pulled a towel over his chest, tucking his friend's arms to his side. What's with these scars? Beat-Ups swallowed, wrapping an arm around Impulse, who nodded, tears filling his friend's eyes. Do you need anything? I just want to make sure Scar is okay, Impulse whispered, wiping tears from his eyes with a hand. Beat-Ups looked up at a shadow past the window. Someone stumbled in. Scar! Green cried from behind them, falling beside Beat-Ups, the hermit's face looking pale. He'll be okay, Beat-Ups said gently, looking over at his friend, seeing the tears forming in his friend's eyes. Gideon squeaked, checking over Scar to see if there was anything that had been missed. Revenge for Gerald, Impulse replied quietly. We need to get him back to the sleepover room. It's not safe here. How did he get in? Beat-Ups shook his head. No, I don't think you really cared. Impulse sighed, getting to his feet. I'll carry him, Green said weakly, lifting the hermit off the ground. Scar letting out a soft groan. Beat-Ups looked over to see Caitlin on the balcony, watching them, not saying a word. He went over to her, offering her hand. Want to lift down, or do you want to take the stairs? Back, Caitlin replied quietly, looking over at Impulse when she said it. I know, Beatrice nodded, grabbing her hand, holding it as he stepped on the railing. You won't let it hurt anyone. Caitlin nodded quietly, watching Impulse and Green glide down to the ground below them. Already by Jem's door, the two of them jumped after. Beatrice landed safely to the ground and the girl let go of his hand, running toward the house after the others, hermits. He followed not too far behind, looking over his shoulder one last time, not seeing anyone else in sight. Not even Matthias. Gypsy. Beatrice followed his friends into the sleepover room, as Green gently laid Scar down on the bed, the sleeping hermit letting out a sigh. Beatrice walked over to Green's side, putting a hand on his shoulder. Anything I can do for you? I just don't get it. Green shook his head. Why was Julius there? Why go out of his way to... Wait, how did you know it was him? Caitlin asked, standing by the door. Scar told him, Impulse replied. He told us. He felt he was in danger and that Julius... This is how he repays our kindness? Green snapped, his head up to look at Impulse. After we tended to his injuries? This is how he repays us? I don't think he even knows Stampy was the one who called for it, Impulse admitted, shaking his head. He told me we made our choice. So did he. So he made so much for a little kindness. Green said bitterly. Beatrice pulled his friend into a side hug. Sometimes it just takes time. Beatrice replied gently to his friend. Julius was only following an order. He chose to listen to Campbell. For what? Green pulled away. His father is poisoning thousands of innocent people. He's doing nothing about it? They don't tell him everything, Impulse pointed out. Green looked over his shoulder, sad look in his expression. They don't. Impulse shook his head. He didn't know about the attacks Campbell ordered on the villages and towns. Green bit his bottom lip and nodded. Why are you defending him? After the things he's done, hurting Tango's, killing kids, and no scars hurt? Tears filled Green's eyes. Wanted to please his leaders. Those he looks up to, like his father. Impulse looked over at Scar. Did he tell you that? Beat-Ups asked. He didn't have to. Impulse met his gaze. He was avenging Gerald by attacking Scar, and wanted to get rid of me to make him both proud. Oh. Graham put a hand to his face, stumbling as Beat-Ups took him to a nearby chair, letting him sit. It just keeps getting better and better. He didn't seem to know what we did. Why would anyone tell him? Impulse shook his head. It doesn't matter, Grace said sourly. He still hurts Scar. When he comes back, we can tell him. Maybe talk some sense into him, Caitlin said hopefully. Talk some sense into a murderer? Grace snapped, looking up at her in horror. It feels the same way, Impulse smiled sadly. Scar's right, though. He's just misguided, lacking what he desperately needs. He kind of reminds me of one of the kids at school. Caitlin stepped into the room. He liked to bully the smaller kids, but it was because he was having trouble at home. His dad never really wanted him, and all he wanted was some validation. What did he do? Green asked. I befriended him. She looked down at her feet. I heard him arguing with his dad one time and found him in a storage closet crying. After we became friends, he promised never to intentionally hurt anyone ever again. Green looked at her intently for a moment before looking over at Impulse. It's hard to imagine ever being friends with him. I've seen stranger things, Impulse shrugged with a chuckle. You never know until you try. Julius is just a big bully who needs a hug. Green nodded, wiping a tear from his eyes as Beat-Ups knelt beside him. I need some time. Take all the time you need, brother, Beat-Ups told him gently. We're all in shock right now, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Scar's strong. A few scars won't keep him down. You're right, Green whispered, looking down at his sleeping friend. Scar never really hated any of them. He just told them if people suffered as much as we were. They'll get what they deserve someday. Impulse nodded, looking up when he heard footsteps down the hall. Is he okay? Jem asked quickly, peering at Caitlin's side. He'll be okay. It wasn't as bad as I feared. Impulse smiled reassuringly. She sighed in relief. coming into the room, checking their hermit over before looking at Impulse. What about you? I'm with my friends. I'll be okay. Smiled, leaning against the wall by the window. I've come to accept the fact that those guys will do anything to get what they want. I can't control everything. I can only do what I can. Right now, it's not being alone. We won't let him get you. Caitlin said confidently. Impulse chuckled. Then we best keep working on that, huh, Kate? The girl smiled sadly. Are you sure? Wouldn't you want to, I don't know, be with Scar? You won't be alone, not for a while. Impulse pushed himself from the wall as Blake appeared at the hall. And will be. I'm not letting you out of my sight, Blake grinned, shaking his head. It's the one time we turn our backs to. It's always like that, Impulse told him with a sad nod. Let's get this one ready for battle together, shall we? My pleasure, Blake nodded, waving to the others. We all good here? Don't worry about us. We'll be fine. Beat-Ups called to him with a grin. He looked over at Jem. Any updates about Kate's mother? She's still in a coma, but I feel like she'll wake soon. Jem nodded with a hopeful smile. If Liam's got any updates, we should be getting close to finding a cure. Good, Beat-Up sighed, getting to his feet, standing beside Grian. Sooner the better. My heart, my poor little hand. I think I can do one more chapter. One more. Maybe two. It depends. Chapter 11. It was early morning the next day as Beat-Up stood in the main room. Isaac was busy giving hungry Jelly some breakfast after the hermit had woken up to her clawing at the door for food. Beat-Ups heard an impatient meow from behind as he smiled. The morning sun rose just up over the tree line as he pushed back the blinds, letting in light. He doubted anyone would be out and about scouting the place this early in the morning. Even most of their protectors had gone to get some sleep by now. Messias was still nowhere to be seen after 3 days. What was taking him so long? Is he okay? Jim had tried to call him last night, but he hadn't responded to her attempts. See anything? Isaac asked from behind. Beat-Ups jumped, returning from his thoughts as he turned. The boy smiled apologetically. Nothing. Have you heard from Matthias yet? Beat-Ups frowned, shaking his head. Nope, not since he left 3 days ago. Isaac looked over at the hermit's shoulder out the window. You think something might have happened? He wouldn't respond to Jem's calls last night. Impulse bit. Excuse me. Beat-Ups bit his bottom lip. He wouldn't leave her unprotected without a good reason. She can handle herself pretty well. Isaac smiled. Plus, you guys have us. I doubt a bunch of kids could stop a horde of Campbell's men if they chose to ambush us. Beat-Ups looked down at the floor. I doubt all of us would be able to, regardless of how skilled we were. Isaac replied, crossing the room to stand next to the hermit. Matthias has his reasons. Just because he doesn't answer you doesn't mean something bad happened. It could have, Beat-Up swallowed. What if the virus situation had gotten worse? What if Rose asked him to help? We're close to a cure. Campbell and his doctor won't have leverage for long, Isaac reminded him. They could kidnap Liam, or anyone working on it, Beat-Up said bitterly, sitting down on the couch. That's true, but I wouldn't worry about it, Isaac said gently. Matthias is a capable man. He knows what he's doing. What does Campbell even want anyway? Beat-Up looked up at the boy. Revenge? A lot of people are motivated by revenge. More love. Isaac nudged the hermit. Mostly love. Right. Beat-Up nodded. He loves the sun because of Rose, and now he wants to take everything from her. A lump formed in his hermit's throat. He probably knows Liam will try to find a cure. He's done it before. Liam is safe, so long as he stays at the school. Isaac rested a hand on the hermit's shoulder. But he's not always there. Beat-Up reached for his pocket with a communicator. I need to warn him, if it'll make you feel better. Isaac nodded as the hermit pulled out the device. She does have 2 nephews, you know, and a brother. Beat-Up sighed. He'll do anything for love. Isaac chuckled. I care about you, Beat-Ups. I don't want anything to happen to you or your friends. I might not be the strongest, but just like Campbell, nothing will stop me from trying. Thank you. Beat-Up smiled, pushing a few cords before the device is connected once more. Hey, Liam. Beat-ups, why are you up so early? Liam's voice said in amusement. Couldn't sleep, Beat-ups replied, trying to figure out why Campo might be doing all of this. Did you get anything? Liam asked curiously. Where are you? Beat-ups asked simply. At school, in my room. Why? Beat-ups could hear a creak of a bed as Liam readjusted his position. Good, stay there, Beat-ups replied. In my room? Liam mused. No, at school. Don't go on any more Rose's missions for now. Beat-ups said firmly. You're more likely to fall into a trap that way. A trap? The young man sounded uneasy. You're working on the cure to the virus. I'm sure he'd expect you to do. I have a hunch it's partially a ploy to get you alone, Beat-ups frowned. You're worried about me. Bubbles will be fine. I'm hardly alone anywhere, even with on my aunt's missions, Liam replied. I'll let her know your request, though. I don't want anything to happen to you, if I can help it, Beat-ups said firmly. You're my friend. I'd never forgive myself if he... It wouldn't be your fault, Liam assured him before clearing his throat. I need to go help Liddy with something. Stacy came in last night with a few animals. You were right, Beat-ups. The rivers here are contaminated, too. Please be careful, Beat-ups insisted. I will, don't worry, Liam replied. You can let your friends know I'm getting close. The Wither Rose sample was a match. I know what to do. Beat-ups grinned. How soon can you get it done? By tomorrow at the earliest. End of the week at the latest, Liam confirmed. Amazing news. Kate's mother is going to be a bit better now. Is doing a bit better now last I saw, he reported. Hasn't woken up yet. She probably won't until I get that cure to you, Liam replied. She's a good hand, so I'm not too worried. Take care, Beat-ups replied, hearing his friend wish him well before ending the call. I still have a bad feeling about this. I'm sure it's just nerves, Isaac said gently. Maybe you're right, Beat-ups sighed, leaning back on the couch. The two of them sat in silence for a long while, Beat-ups not even noticing Jelly waltz over to the armchair next to them, hopping in before curling up into a ball, sunlight hitting her white, gray fur that made her seem to glow. Chapter 12. I get halfway through the book today and halfway on next week. Beat-ups opened his eyes at the sound of rockets, followed by a soft thud. Confused, the hermit looked around, realizing he'd fallen asleep on the couch as light poured into the room. Isaac was gone, and Jelly still slept in the armchair. He jumped when he heard a knock on the door. He got to his feet, looking out the window. He saw two men standing at the door. One of them was tall, dark brown hair and dark forest green eyes. The other man Beat-ups recognized as he gasped, scrambling to open the door. Where have you been? I'm busy, the man said matter-of-factly, gesturing to the man beside him. This is Robert Kimberly, Caitlin's father. Robert, this is Beat-ups, one of our many friends. Robert nodded, giving the hermit a small smile, offering a hand for him to shake. It's nice to meet you, Beat-ups. Yes, sir. Beat-ups shook the man's hand before stepping out of the way. Why don't you two come inside? The others are still sleeping. You hungry? We ate earlier this morning, Messiah said simply, walking into the base as Mr. Kimberly followed. How are my wife and daughter doing? Robert asked, meeting the hermit's eyes. Your wife is still sleeping. Liam's almost done with the cure, so he'll get it to her as soon as he's finished, Beat-ups said confidently. Your daughter's sleeping with her. I don't blame her for wanting to be close to her mother. Mr. Kimberly nodded, looking up at the stairs. The detail of this place is incredible. Workmanship of a master builder. Yes, sir. My friend Jem built this space. Beat-ups grinned proudly. She's been helping your wife over the last few days. Could you show me to them? The man asked. First, we need to discuss some matters. He grabbed the man by the arm. Such as my absence. Rose asked me to investigate some of the villages after meeting 3 days ago. That's where I found Mr. Kimberly. I've been looking everywhere for my wife and daughter. The man shook his head. They've been missing for over a month after the attack, and I fear something must have happened to them. Messiah's found me, and there is where I heard what had happened to my wife. Is it true? She's been sleeping in a coma since we found her. Beat-ups lifted his chin. They were able to get rid of the withering poison effects, but not the corpse flower just yet. Seems the mix of all three of them causes a good effect. Mr. Kimberly nodded. She'll be all right. When Liam is ready, he'll get the cure to her. Beat-ups nodded. Something's done. The man asked curiously. Yes, sir. He told me this morning. Beat-ups smiled. He knows what to do in order to help her. That's very good news. Mr. Kimberly smiled. Yes, sir, Beat-ups repeated, glancing out the window. Is there something bothering you? Matthias asked curiously. No, just checking to make sure you hadn't been followed, Beat-ups said quickly. Matthias smiled knowingly. I doubt they'd be able to keep up with us. We made sure of that. Isn't that right, Mr. Kimberly? Indeed, the man chuckled. I don't see why it'd be necessary. It's a safety protocol, Matthias stated simply. Of course, my apologies, the man replied. Is that all you wanted to discuss? Perhaps so, unless there's anything else Beat-ups would like to ask. The man, Matthias met his gaze. I'm just glad you're back, sir, Beat-ups said with a weak smile. No, you don't have to be formal with me, Beat-ups, Matthias said gently. I'm just nervous, that's all. Beat-ups chuckled, turning his head away. About what? Mr. Kimberly frowned. It's nothing. Beat-ups gesturing to the stairs. I can show you where your wife and daughter are, saying if you'd like, sir. The man's frown deepened, but he followed the hermit upstairs. Beat-ups taking him to the room, finding Caleb standing by the door. Morning, Bubbles. Caleb nodded, looking over at the man. Who's your friend there? This is Robert, Caitlin's father. Beat-ups said with a smile. The door slammed open. Dad! Caitlin lunged at her father, tackling him into a hug. You came! Of course I would, my little dove, he said gently, tightening his embrace. Tears filled Kate's eyes as they held each other. I was looking all over for you and your mother. How is she doing? She's doing better, Caitlin pulled away, pulling her father into the room by the hand before turning to Beat-ups. Thank you for finding him. Matthias did most of the work, Beat-ups said sheepishly. I'll have to ask him about your friends. Kate nodded, looking up at her father. Is everyone okay? I wouldn't worry about that too much, Kate, Mr. Kimberly replied gently. Looking over at where his wife was sleeping, his face fell. The momentary joy from earlier gone. Lyra. Mama's doing better. She's not in any pain. Just made sure of that. Kate said quickly as the man sat in the chair that had been pulled up next to his wife. She'll be better soon. Matt smiled, reaching over for his daughter's hand. Your friend here says Liam is about done with the cure. He is? Her eyes widened. So the samples helped? Big time, Beat-ups grinned. Should be ready by tomorrow at the earliest. She squealed with joy as she tackled Hermit. Thank you. What to thank you, Beat-ups giggled. You helped. She looked up at him firmly. You helped save my mother. I'm just glad you and your parents are safe. He brushed through her now soft, dark auburn curls. Beat-ups looked up, seeing a small smile on her father's face. Must thank you as well for keeping her safe, he said calmly. You've been teaching me how to fight, Caitlin grinned, jumping to her father's side. Impulse taught me how to use a sword, and Scar promised to teach me the ways of the hot guy. Hot guy? The man tilted his head curiously. Scar's hero alias. Beat-ups shrugged. He's got a pretty cool wolf. Deadly even. He even blasted one of the bad people out of the sky with his gas blaster, Kate beamed. These guys are heroes. Mr. Kimberly laughed. So they are. I'll leave you three be. Give us a holler if you need anything. Beat-ups put a hand by the door. Thank you again, Beat-ups, Mr. Kimberly said, pulling his daughter into another embrace. I'm not sure if I'd ever be able to repay you or your friends for what you've done. Don't mention it, Beat-ups beamed. We're here to help each other. Doesn't matter who you are. We help anyone in need. Mr. Kimberly smiled, nodded, waving the hermit off as Beat-ups closed the door behind them, looking up at Caleb. You don't see that happen so often anymore. Caleb smiled sadly, his voice soft. Beat-ups could have sworn he saw tears in the boy's eyes. They'll have a happy ending. Beat-ups grinned before his smile faltered. Although I doubt their lives will ever go back to what it used to be. Caleb nodded. Yeah, sure, they'll figure it out. See you around, I guess. B-Dubs waved, heading toward the stairs. I'm going to wait for the others. We're doing some more archery practice later. You'll do great, Caleb encouraged, returning the wave. B-Dubs couldn't wipe the smile off his face, even if he wanted to. Everything was falling into place. They could do this. They would do this. B-Dubs walked back into the base, wiping the sweat off his face with the back of his hand, grinning as he stumbled into the main room. That was a lot of fun. We should do that again, Scar said confidently with a smile. I'm down, Impulse agreed, patting Scar on the back. That was a good tip back there. Thanks, man. Hey, we need to be ready for anything, Scar said firmly, especially since Julius will be coming back for you. Impulse nodded, looking over at B-Dubs and Jem. As Jem grinned and Pearl went to the kitchen to get some snacks for the group. I'll be fine, especially with a hot guy on my side. Scar giggled, readjusting his position as he groaned. Burns are still not completely healed, unfortunately. Need anything, any regen? B-Dubs offered, heading over to a nearby chest. No, I'll be fine. Just can't move as much right now. Scar smiled at his friend, rolling over to the window. Now that we're finished with the 1st hour, how are you guys feeling if we build a few more? Really? Impulse smiled playfully. It took a week for us to finish one of them. Scar shrugged. It wouldn't hurt. Besides, more space for anyone who might need it. B-Dubs nodded. That's a good idea, actually. Maybe you could even host some interns, too, while you're at it, Blake mused from the hallway. Tom would be over the moon over it. Is there still trouble with that? B-Dubs frowned. I thought more people were willing to take interns now after what happened at the school. Blake shook his head. It's gotten better, but only slightly. I know some friends who are dying to get a chance to do something. You're getting bored of being helpers for Liam. Scar giggled. It's also not so bad. With kids, we want action and danger, Blake mused with a smile. We want to dive into the thick of it, whether we're ready or not. Guess that's fair, Scar mused. Come on, you should plan a layout. B-Dub nodded, pulling a table closer to where Scar was sitting. Impulse taking out a piece of paper, putting it on the table. He handed Scar a quill. The hermit leaned forward, wincing for a moment in pain before scribbling on the page. Full concentration. Yeah, you got it there, Caitlin said from upstairs, as B-Dubs turned, hearing her descend. She made it to the bottom, her father just behind her. Where did you guys go? We were doing some archery practice outside, Grian said, walking from the kitchen. B-Dubs didn't want to bother you. Scar said he'd give you a lesson early this evening when it's cooler. Okay, she beamed, looking over at what Scar was doing. Scar finished as she approached. What you doing? Mapping the layout for another tower, Scar said simply. We're making 3 more so it looks more appealing. That way have more. Those towers could hold all of the hermits and their protectors here at this point. Grian giggled, looking over at Scar's shoulder, holding out a few golden carrots to him. Scar took it, downing one, and he smiled. We've been thinking also to help the interns, Impulse added. That's still a problem, apparently. That would work, Green nodded, smiling. It'd give us more hands on deck, and the new ones how things work in the real world. Yeah, Blake chuckled. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. Keeping up with you lot is a good challenge. Green giggled. We do our best to keep you on your toes. Is there a room I can use for a moment? I have to make a call to a colleague. Mr. Kimberly frowned, speaking for the first time. Any room upstairs is fine, Jem called up. I was thinking of something more secure, the man replied. B-Dubs looked over at his friends nervously. What, like a secret room? I suppose that wouldn't hurt. The man sighed with a smile, heading back up the stairs. I'll be right back, Kate. I'll be fine, Dad. Caitlin shook her head. I don't want to let you out of my sight, my little dove, the man replied gently. You're too precious to me to lose again. Nothing bad will happen, she insisted. We'll be fine. Very well, the man nodded, disappearing up the stairs. He's so annoying sometimes, King grumbled, just loud enough for the harvest ear. He just wants to keep you safe. He loves you. Impulse put a hand on her shoulder. Yeah, you're right, she sighed. He's got to know I'll be okay, though. You guys won't let anything happen to me. Nothing will happen, Blake said calmly. Other than the infection, we've heard not much else from Cabell. Apart from Julius wants my head. Impulse mused, shaking his head. Apart from that, yes, Blake sighed. The cousin only following orders. Wait, he's your cousin? Caitlin's eyes widened. Beatrice nodded. It's a long story, Kate. A really long story. She looked at the floor. How do you guys know so much? Experience, mostly. Scar replied simply, handing Jem the layout. Think we can work on these over the next few weeks? I can see if any of the other hermits want to pitch in and help. Jem agreed, taking the papers, storing them safely away. I like this idea. It makes your tower stand out far less. Not much of a target. It's fortified and resistant to explosions, Green reported. Far safer than it was before. I know, she nodded with a small smile. I'd rather not have to worry about digging another friend out of debris. You know? Green nodded. You don't have to do that with the tower. Your base is vulnerable to a helicopter attack. She shuddered. You're right. We'll hear them first, Blake reminded her. Hence why we built a secret bunker. You have a secret bunker? Caitlin asked at the boy in awe. We have a few. Impulse smiled. Can I see it? See it? If we need it. Impulse shook his head. Apologies. It's better if few people know where it is. I won't tell, she insisted. Caitlin. Jem put a hand on the girl's shoulder. We believe you. Right now, though, it's too risky knowing anything. Trust us. Her shoulders slumped. Okay. They have a headband that could be used to read our minds, beat up Deb's temple. If they ever captured you with that information, then it'd be safe. Girl nodded again. Would they do that? You wouldn't let them take me? We're not taking the risk. Not right now. Jem shook her head. We don't know what Campbell wants, or if he's after you to begin with. Dad said not to worry, she replied. No one's after me, and I'm not going to let them go after you either. Jem squeezed the girl's shoulder. Time will tell. Beat-ups looked up, hearing the sound of footsteps again as Mr. Kimberly appeared. The man came downstairs, his lips pursed and firm, his eyebrows knit together, before his face relaxed upon seeing his daughter. How's everything going down here? He asked. We were just finishing the plans to build 3 more towers, like the one you saw coming in, Scar beamed. When will you start with those plans? The man asked. Soon, Scar shrugged, looking over at Jem. I'll need to look them over and maybe make some adjustments, Jem replied with a nod, letting go of Kate's shoulder. How did your call go? Oh, it went well, the man smiled. I should probably get back home soon. I can't stay away from work forever. He looked over at Kate. Once your mother is better, we can go home. Are you sure that's a good idea? Pearl asked, her tone uncertain. Why wouldn't it be? The man straightened. Well, they may try to come back, especially if they knew she was connected to us. Pearl tilted her head. I won't tell anyone, Kate promised quickly. I don't see anything reason to be concerned, the man said smoothly. Said smoothly with a smile. The men are long gone and will come back. It might be safer for her to be at school if things don't go the way you planned, Green added quietly. That won't be necessary, the man snapped. Once Liam brings the antidote, Lyra and Kate will be coming home and have a discussion. I'd like to discuss it with Rose first, Blake offered. She could have someone keep an eye out for you and your family. Kate can handle herself, can't you, Dove? Mr. Kimberly looked down at his daughter. Caitlin nodded. Yeah, I can take care of myself, but... See, she'll be fine. Man said matter-of-factly. Thanks for teaching her how to defend herself. If there's a problem, she can handle it. Still, if something does, I think you'd agree it'd be better knowing she was safe. The man sighed. Very well, I will talk with Rose about it, if it makes you feel better. That choice saved my life, Blake pointed it out to him, simply with a smile. The man nodded, looking over at his daughter. Kate, I have something I need to talk to you about. Let's go upstairs so we can talk. Okay. Caitlin nodded, watching her father start from his chairs again, looking over at Blake. You really think something happened? I don't know, Blake replied. I'd rather have someone to go to in case something did. I think our friends here would agree. Definitely, Green nodded. It's dangerous out there. Once I know you know about YouTubers, the truth, no one is truly safe. They'll hate the fact that you're friends with us. Her shoulders slumped. They hurt you because of me? Good. Green said quietly, looking away. Just don't know. For all we know, your father is right. Caitlin! Missy Kimberly called. The girl perked up, going for the stairs. Coming! She started up the stairs before hesitating. Maybe I could take the communicator. If there's trouble, April said, I could hook you up. Perfect! She beamed, hurrying up the stairs, disappearing from sight. I'm going to miss her, Scar replied sadly, looking down at the table as he rolled back from it. I think we all will. Let's enjoy the time we do have, though. Beto smiled encouragingly. The others nodded. Hey, she'll be able to keep in touch with us at least, Impulse pointed out. I'm sure she'll be okay. I'm tired. Chapter 14. One more chapter. It's the last one. Beat-Ups woke up with a start at the sound of buzzing by his head as the communicator came to life. He sat up in his sleeping bag, grabbing for it as he looked at the coordinates. It was late, the moon high above the midnight purple sky as he scrambled out of bed quietly. What was it? Green mumbled sleepily. Beat-Ups looked down to see that he was barely awake. Nothing to worry about. Go back to sleep, Beat-Ups whispered, slipping toward the door. Okay. Green rolled over, stepping out in the hall. Is everything all right? Gideon asked, causing the hermit to jump. I forgot someone keeps watch out here. The hermit chuckled, crossing the hall and opening another bedroom door. It's a call from the school. Is this hour? Gideon frowned. Sure, it's fine. Beat-Ups pressed the button as he closed the door behind him. Hello? Beat-Ups, is that you? Small voice whispered into the device. Yes, me. Beat-Ups whispered back, hearing a sniffling on the other end. Have you been crying? Just got back from Lizzie. Just got back from Stacy's after. Lizzie's voice floated through the speaker. What happened? Is everyone okay? Beat-Ups asked, feeling a wave of unease. Stacy wanted me to drop by to help her with one of the bigger animals. Lizzie swallowed. A cow managed to drink from a contaminated stream, and one of her wolves found it. Liam wanted to come over to help, but what happened, Liz? Beat-Ups pressed, the uneasy feeling sinking deeper. Liam and I were almost at our place when we were ambushed. Lizzie choked on the words. Managed to get to our base in time where the wolves chased 3 jamples meant away. But what? Beat-Ups pressed. They took him. They took Liam. She cried. Beat-Ups could hear the indecipherable voice through the device. No, it's not okay. Well, you told us this could happen. I shouldn't have let him come. I should have made sure. Lizzie, Beat-Ups said gently. It's not your fault. It is my fault, she snapped. If you hadn't come with me, they would have attacked you and taken you instead, Beat-Ups pointed out. Your feathers rose too. Close, she sniffed, her voice shaking. I'm sorry I failed. Do you know where they took him? Beat-Ups asked. No. Stacy and I looked everywhere, even with the wolves. We made it to the portal, and that's when we knew we were too late. She let out a soft whimper. We'll find him, I promise, Beat-Ups said firmly. We won't let Campbell get away with this. Sorry, Beat-Ups. I'm really sorry. Lizzie sighed helplessly. If there's anything I can do, don't leave the premises and stay safe. Have one of the soldiers keep an eye on you, if you have to, Beat-Ups said firmly. That's what Liam would have wanted. If I hear anything, I'll let you know, she replied. You do that, Beat-Ups agreed. Same here. I hope they don't hurt him, Lizzie muttered through the device. Sam's gonna lose it if he finds out. You haven't told him? Beat-Ups asked. I wanted to tell you first, Lizzie insisted. I'm scared, Beat-Ups. I'm scared for him, his family. Stay strong, Liz. Promise me that, Beat-Ups said firmly. Well, she whispered. I promise. The call ended after they said their goodbyes. Beat-Ups looked over to the curtain window, took a seat on the bed, putting the device beside him, putting his head in his hands. He wasn't sure how much time passed before the bedroom door opened, Caden peeking his head in. Is everything okay? No, everything's not okay. Beat-Ups lowered his hands, looking down at the floor, dejected. Campbell has Liam. Concern filled Caden's face. Sure? Lizzie called me. They ambushed her and Liam on their way to Stacy's base in the woods. The look formed in the hermit's throat. I'll get Matthias, Caden said firmly. Don't go anywhere. Where else would I go? Beat-Ups asked, shaking his head. For Liam, Kate pointed out. I don't know where he is, Beat-Up sighed. I tried to warn him. I know, Isaac told me. The man nodded. A lot has been on your mind. He was so close to making the cure, Beat-Ups insisted. I should have been there. Kaden shook his head. You put yourself in danger as well? No, we'll find him. I know we will. We have to. Beat-Up stood, looking toward the window. Stay put, Kaden said firmly, disappearing into the hole before the hermit could argue. Not that he would. He knew the man was right. Beat-Up plopped back down on the bed, putting his hand on the communicator. What would he say to Caitlin? Her father. He heard the door open as someone stepped into the hall. He looked up, seeing Impulse appear in the doorway. Something happened, didn't it? You can read my mind, he sighed, shaking his head. He took Liam. How did that happen? Impulse frowned, walking into the room. Stacy wanted Lizzie and Liam to drop by to help her with something. The men intercepted them. Lizzie managed to get away, but Beat-Up sighed, balling his fists. Find him, Impulse said simply, sitting beside him. Can we? Beat-Up asked quietly. Are they going to go after us next? We're the ones who helped them. Impulse put a hand on the hermit's back, rubbing it gently. I don't know. Liam's done so much to help us. They all have. Beat-Up's bottom lip quivered. We have to do something. Find him, Impulse repeated. Beat-Up let out a defeated sigh. What are we going to tell to Kimberly's? That we can't help them? We will help them, Impulse insisted, pulling the hermit into his hug. Just make the cure ourselves. How? Liam didn't tell me anything, Beat-Up insisted. The virus is made from poison with the rose and chorus fruit, though. Impulse replied, holding him close. Correct? Yeah, Beat-Up sighed. Good. We can work with that, Impulse assured him. We can do this. Campbell thinks he's won. He hasn't. Not yet. If he hurts Liam, Beat-Up trailed off. He'll pay. Impulse whispered into his ear. If he touches him, he'll get what he deserves. My gut feeling was right. Beat-Up shook his head, pulling away from his friend. I should have been there to protect him. That's not our job, Impulse smiled weakly. I don't care, Beat-Up said, crossing his arms over his chest. He's our friend. Campbell won't get away with this, Impulse said firmly, getting to his feet. I'm going to see if I can find anything on the potion box. In the potion box, wanna come? Katie told me to stay put. He's getting Matthias. Beat-Up sighed. Impulse nodded. I'll be in my workshop if you change your mind. Thanks, Impulse. Beat-Up smiled sadly. I knew something was bothering you, I replied. I want you to do this alone. What are we going to tell the others? Beat-Up asked quietly. We'll tell them what happened, and we'll work with what we have, Impulse said confidently. Rose will do whatever she can to find her nephew. She won't give up, and neither will we. Campbell knows that. Beat-Up bit his bottom lip, meeting his friend's eyes. He knows she'll do anything to get him back. So will we, Impulse agreed with a nod. And Lizzie and Stacy are safe, at least. Yes, I told Lizzie to stay at school to stay safe. Beat-Up smiled. I'm sure Stacy will do the same. Good. Then there's one less thing to worry about. Impulse nodded, heading for the door. See you in a bit, buddy. You too, Beat-Up nodded. Watching him leave, Beat-Up looked out the window again, unsure if he'd be able to go back to sleep, knowing one of their friends was in danger. Unfortunately, this is where we're going to be ending it for now. I decided to end it here because we're not give you a reason to come back for the next one. Pretty much. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I just wanted to write more female characters in the story because there's a lot of guys in here. And I thought this would be a good way to do it. Just write a little bit of stuff. Add a little bit more variety and a little bit of color. Let's just say. But yeah, that's all for today. Next week, we'll see how things go. Yeah, halfway and halfway.